Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we speak of one of the most complicated procedures that we have in our manual. That is the procedure to award contracts for realization of works of very small value. It is a very complicated procedure and took us a lot of time to be prepared, because we had to put together, on one hand, the requirements of the practical guide in terms of preparation of the tender dossier and obligations that the contracting authority must respect in order to award contracts. But on the other hand, we are referring to projects to contracts that have a very minor value, and therefore it is a bit complicated to put together the simplicity that you are required in order to be able to work with a construction company for a small amount of money, and the procedures that are requested from the practical guide in order to award contract. It is very important to point out that there has been an evolution in the practical guide in the last edition of the practical guide in 2013 for what is considered to be a small works contract. In the past, small works contracts were contracts with a value up to 10,000 euro. So what does it mean, 10,000 euro, when we speak of works contract? It means probably to make a bathroom and to make the painting of the house and putting a floor. And that is 10,000 euros. So it is a work that normally in our everyday life we would deal with without any contract even. We would ask a construction company of our group of people that we know, or a friend of a friend, to do that for us. We would say we need a new toilet, a new roof, and to have the new painting of the walls. But of course, when we are dealing with the implementation of the grant budget, we must be a bit more accurate. Nevertheless, in the PRAG 2013, this threshold has been increased from 10,000 euro to 60,000 euro. But it is not anymore requested the use of a single tender, but it is used an expression in the Annex 4 to the grant contract that is the following one. For works contract of 60,000 euro or less, the procedures established by the beneficiaries may be used while respecting the rules and principles laid down in Article 1, 2 and 3 of this annex. What does that mean in reality? It could appear that it is a simplification of the work of the grant beneficiary, but in reality it makes the work of the grant beneficiary a bit more complex, because it gives a bit more of uncertainty about what can be done and what can't be done. This reference to your procedure, but you as a grant beneficiary not necessarily have a procedure, and if you don't have a procedure, what you are going to do. So everything could, in an ex post control implemented by the European Union, appear a bit fishy, even if it is not fishy. So we are now trying, in this procedure that we have developed, to give clear instructions to the grant beneficiaries of a procedures that could be followed in order to implement this type of works contract. So we somehow suggest our grant beneficiary to use a single tender, meaning just to call one company and to do the job only in case the value of the works to be realized is up to 10,000 euro. But even if in this case, if you don't feel comfortable with just awarding the contract to one company, you can always use, then the procedures allow you to do it. You can do it by awarding the contract after inviting few companies, 2 or 3 companies that are taking part to the kind of small competition. And in this case, you are having a bit more of openness in the market that is being requested to provide you a best price for the implementation of the contract. In general, let's say as a rule, we would say that you need to use you should always consult the market in case the value of the works contract is between 10,000 and 60,000 euro, according to the PRAG 2013. We know that according to the PRAG 2012, anytime that the work is above 10,000 euro, you have to use a competitive negotiated procedure. So we advise you to use up to 60,000 euro under PRAG 2013. The procedures that we are presenting in this manual, inviting at least 3 partners, 3 companies to do the job. In the case that you are confident that the value of the work is limited, let's say up to 10,000 euro, and you are able to implement it properly, we have all the templates you need for contracting, and we require you to have the documents, the relevant documents that are included in this manual to be signed by 3 persons. In the case of really limited works, like it could be that you need just to paint the wall of one room, that is the room that is going to host the grant beneficiary in the implementation of the project, it is clear that everything could be even concentrated in one invoice that you receive from the construction company for painting the walls. So in this case, if the value is very limited and the scope of the work is extremely limited too, you can have that the entire procedure is concentrated in one invoice. But be aware that this invoice should be signed by 3 team members of the grant beneficiary, because according to the Annex 4, any time that we award the contract, also a contract of the value of 2 euro, theoretically, we should have 3 people involved in the evaluation, in the assessing of the procedure. So the invoice in this case should be signed by 3 people that would certify that the entire process is done according to the wish of the contracting authority. We have prepared all the contracts that are contract structure that is necessary to implement these contracts. It is very simple, limited in the scope to take into account that we are speaking of very small works, and taking into account the requirements of the practical guide, the minimum requirements. Of course, this procedure is to be used for very small contracts, and again, like in the case of competitive negotiated procedures, if you have a relationship with construction company. If you don't have a relationship with construction company, well, in this case, you are really obliged to go up in the procedure, even to use an open tender procedure. But of course, we are aware that people are rational enough to be able to distinguish when it is necessary to upgrade the procedure, when they are confident that they can implement without any specific problem the tender, the contract, without using heavy procedures. The presentation also in this case, like for all the presentations that we have in this manual, is split in 3 parts. First, we present in general terms all the procedures from the moment that you start the preparation of this very simplified tender dossier that should be used, to the moment you accept the infrastructure that has been done. It is a special procedure of acceptance because we are speaking of very small works. We then present, we have the audit trail, where we have a schematic presentation of the procedure to be used by the grant beneficiary to prepare and to award and to implement the contract. And finally, we have a presentation on the preparation of this very simple tender dossier, but nevertheless, it is important the tender dossier to be clear, to have already inside the structure of the contract like it is normally done according to the best international practices, so that everybody is aware of what is going to happen, and everybody knows in written what are the obligations and what are the rights that has in the implementation of the contract. So, thanks a lot for your attention, and now we are going to present first the audit trail for the preparation of these procedures for the preparation implementation of contracts of small value for works, and later on we will present we will give instructions, hints about the preparation of tender dossier. Thanks a lot again for your attention.